Good morning, everybody. And as you are waking up on this chilly December morning, you're probably noticing that winter's tight grip is holding fast and grabbing each of us as we walk outside, and it stills your breath in the morning air. As you notice, the darkness is also encroaching quite quickly. With every morning, we seem to be having less and less light, and with every evening, it gets darker and darker, so much sooner, almost as though the darkness is trying to come in and steal it right from beneath our toes. But the nice thing is, if you're not into all of the darkness, we have a beautiful full moon's light shining above us. The Algonquin tribes actually would refer to this full moon as the cold moon or the oak moon. So as you can see by that beautiful piece of art made by Man in the Moon Metalworks, it represents both the oak moon with the three oak trees and that wonderful spiritual symbol of the three trees, as well as the cold moon. Snow is beginning to fall. It's not quite the time of the snowy moon, that's February, but it is definitely cold and frosty, and the dew seems to be clinging to the cars if you're parking outside, and it's just that time of year. It seems to be getting darker and darker, and it really bids us to go inside and begin planning and thinking and figuring out what we've thought of this last year. It's a great time to start processing. You can imagine the tribes in days of old when they named the moons, when we followed the lunar calendar instead of the current calendar, where we realize we rotate around the sun instead. But you can imagine as they were huddling up close together, feeling the chill of winter as it was just starting to come in, and not having heat, not having any of those wonderful comforts or coffee makers that we have now. Instead, they would huddle around and share stories with each other and talk about the memories that they've had. Some of that has still stayed with us today as we come up into Yule, the winter solstice, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it is you're celebrating. Most likely, you're sharing stories and memories with those that you love and those that are around you. That's another wonderful thing for this beautiful, beautiful cold moon time. And as far as it being so much less sunlight, we're actually beginning to lose at quite a rapid pace the sunlight. So on December 21st, actually yesterday, we had the shortest day of the year. We talked last week about Yule and the fact that it was 9 hours and 14 seconds of sunlight. That's all you had out of those 24 hours. The rest of it was cast in darkness. As opposed to in June, when we look at the opposite side of the wheel and we have that beautiful summer solstice, depending on which you prefer, at that point we're going to be having 15 hours, 21 minutes, and 56 seconds of sunlight in Flint, Michigan. So there's truly a time for every season, though. So some people would rather celebrate the sun. Some people, like me, would rather celebrate the snow. But it's the balance in between all of these seasons. You can't have the crops that you harvest without going in through the sunny cycle, but you also won't have them if you don't spend the time to plan and plant and go within. So I would definitely encourage you to use this wonderful time of the cold moon, the December moon, to reflect back on 2018. What did you create within your life this year? What were the goals that you set, whether you set them in October of 2017 or maybe you did January 2018? Thinking about those goals that you set, what have you brought to fruition? How have you worked on your life? How have you worked to become a better person? What things have you really worked on? What seeds did you plant last winter that came up? What seeds did you plant, but maybe you didn't fully water them? Maybe they didn't come up. Are those things that you want to work on planting again this winter? Or did you change your plans? We always have flexibility. Maybe you decided to go a different route. But it's always good to acknowledge what it was you planted, whether you harvested it or not, so you can make that space and plant very thoughtfully and carefully throughout this coming winter. The other names for this moon and the ancient Germanic people actually referred to this moon very, very creatively as the moon before Yule. Kind of reminds me of when we found cats and we named them Gray Kitty or White Kitty. It's a little bit obvious, but the nice thing with that is that in that era, that with those people, they had huge celebrations of the winter solstice and celebrating Yule and really bringing together the whole community at that time. And that's something we can really bring forward with us here today. Some of the other, one of the other names that you have for this moon is the winter moon, because winter is just starting. This year is actually a little bit of a unique year because the full moon is falling right within 24 hours of the winter solstice, which doesn't happen very often. We were actually really fortunate this entire year. It was interesting as we were talking about the lunar cycles that almost every Espet and Sabat had a full moon very closely linked to it. Sometimes we'll have the full moon at the beginning of the month and the holidays at the end of the month. This year, it seemed pretty much throughout the whole year, they fell right within the same week. The last time we had a full moon that was actually on the winter solstice was back in 2010. It won't happen again until 2094. And so it's really a special time. The next time that it will fall within 24 hours, like it is this year, will be in 2029. So really take advantage of that. Use the energy and the essence of the full moon to look within yourself as you're using this time, which is for planning and planting and reflecting, to shine that light on you. Whenever the moon is full, it really gives us a chance to examine our emotions, because the moon represents emotions. And so when the sun's light is reflecting directly on its surface and it lights it up so beautifully, it gives us an opportunity to go within to look at what our motivations are, what our dreams are, what our emotions are that are guiding us and really steering us in life. And I would also definitely caution you not to use the excuse of feeling that the moon is ruling you or that the moon is pulling you too far in one direction. Sometimes people will feel that their emotions get really out of control at the full moon, but instead of allowing that to happen, recognize when the full moon is coming up and think about what sign, what astrological sign that moon is in, so that you can know what areas to look at within your life. So with this moon, it starts out when it's full in Gemini, which is a really lively sign. It's a very intellectual and gregarious and friendly sign. So you might be feeling like yesterday that you were having a lot of energy and you were really excited and wanted to get out and see everybody. And as we're coming into Sunday, you might be feeling like you just want to be home a little bit more, maybe because it's going into the sign of Cancer, which is kind of a homebody sign. It's a sign of wanting to just stay in, figure out what you're doing, check in with yourself, rest, nurture. It's a really good sign of taking care of yourself and of others, which also really bodes well with what this moon represents in general. This moon, the cold moon, represents a time to rest, a time to take care of yourself, a time to go within as it's starting that whole cycle on the wheel with entering into the winter months, which is all about planning, nurturing, being your own divine mother, being your own divine father, and really bringing in whatever elements you need for yourself, bring those into yourself and allow this moon to really kick off that cycle for yourself. Let's see. And let me make sure I didn't forget anything. I've really skipped around without looking at my notes tonight. So really, it's such an exciting thing that the moon is happening right at the winter solstice. I hope you've been having a really good time planning and starting to figure out what seeds you want to plant. The other really important thing, I mentioned processing what you've done. This moon is really about reflecting, going in, thinking about what goals you met throughout this last year. And that's so important because if you just go ahead and you start plunging ahead with the winter months, when you've just finished harvesting through here and you start plunging ahead and you want to just start planting seeds for what's new, but you don't think about what you've planted and you don't think about what you've harvested and what did come up, what didn't come up, then you're not really going into it with the full intelligence that you could have, the full wisdom that you could have about how to really create your best life. So really definitely spend some time going and thinking about that, what seeds you've planted, and by doing that you're also creating space because you're acknowledging what things didn't happen. We all often have certain goals that maybe we planned on at the beginning of the year but didn't quite come to fruition. Examine and see why they didn't. Was it something that you just changed your mind and you wanted to let it go? Well, by doing that you've created space within yourself, so you have more space to create the goals that you do want. And if it's something that you still want, you just got sidetracked with other things, maybe you had a lot of goals, then it's time to create space again through that acknowledgement of it and then planting those seeds so you can cultivate it and really have the life that you want. From the winter solstice on, we start really gaining a lot of daylight. So we're going to it'll feel really slow. It'll still feel like winter for the next couple of months, even though the sun is just starting to peek back out. But on the solstice, the sun rose at 8:03 and set at 5:02. On Christmas Day, we will have already gained 1 minute at that point. On the 28th, we'll have gained 2 minutes of daylight. The 30th, 3 minutes of daylight. By the 31st, we're already gaining 4 minutes of daylight. So think about what you can do with that extra time. Sometimes you can just use 1 minute, 60 seconds can really be incredible with resetting your brain, with being able to start planning thoughtfully and cultivating what you want. So if you use 30 seconds of that in the morning to just focus in on your breath and remind yourself to be in the present moment. Remind yourself what your goals are, and then do another 30 seconds in the evening. You're really utilizing in a very conscious way that extra daylight that you're getting. So think about all the things that you can do if you choose every time we get another minute of daylight, if you add another minute into your day of planning and planting and being in the present moment. How powerful can that be for your life? It's really quite incredible. Spiritually, the full moon is really about rest, care, and introspection, processing and evaluating so that you can plan very thoughtfully and very carefully. The other nice thing about the full moon being so close to Yule is that it will still be 95% full on Christmas Eve, which will be a really nice way near the end of Christmas Eve. If you have kids, maybe you'll want to go out and take a peek for Santa before they go to bed, and also take some time to go look at the full moon. Really take in her beauty and really bring the essence of that compassionate energy, that Cancer energy into yourself, that home-loving, nurturing type of energy, because it's really magnified between the astrological sign and the symbology of this specific moon. It's also known as the oak moon because this is a very strong and steady moon. Even though the winter months are coming and it gets very cold and it can be really challenging to do all the things that we normally like to do, if you think of yourself as the oak tree, the oak is such a strong and mighty tree. Even as those winds whip by, sometimes really frigid temperatures, the oak tree still comes back to life every spring. Those blooms, the leaves start blooming and it really comes into full bloom. Its hardiness, its stature stays nice and strong through all of the challenges that present. Know that you have that same strength within you too. You can call on this moon to bring that strength to you, to have the hardiness to get through all of the winter. And the other symbology of this is, of course, the time of darkness. Which really means that it's a time of rebirth. Anytime that we go into darkness, anytime that we say goodbye to the light for a little while and we hunker down and we go within, we're ready to emerge again, just like the caterpillars turn into the butterflies. It's a time of rebirth. You can use that in any way that you want to rebirth within your life. Maybe it's in your occupation. Maybe it's within your relationship. It could be any aspect of your life. Maybe your creativity needs a rebirthing. So really focus on going within, creating that cocoon, staying inside, sharing those stories with each other, and getting ready to really rebirth yourself as we come through this moon when we get ready to come into January's moon. January 21st, I believe, is the next full wolf moon in January. So really remember the essence and elements of this to cleanse, to clear, and to shine. Those are really big parts of this moon. Anytime you go into the darkness, it's a way to go in within, to cleanse, clear away all of those cobwebs, clear away any of the dirt and grime, any of the stuff that you felt like held you back in 2018, any of the things that you weren't as happy with. Cleanse, clear, and allow them to shine. Start polishing those aspects of yourself that you want to shine, and then really recharge your batteries through this as well. So you can use this to cleanse, clear, shine, polish, and recharge the bright star of your soul, because each and every one of you have a brilliant, bright star within you, and I just want to see you radiate fully into your fullest potential in 2019. So I hope you will use this beautiful full cold moon in December to prepare yourself, to plan, to process, to think about what you want for this next year, and get ready to plant those seeds through this coming winter. I hope you enjoy our live talks. Please, if you haven't already, like our Facebook page, subscribe to us on YouTube, and share this video out with your friends and family. Thank you. Have a great day.